Hello and welcome to another video. In this one I'm going to recreate the Runed Lexicon from Skyrim. I was browsing Etsy the other day and I found several models that inspired me and reminded me that I had this project on my list for many years, and I remembered I have a lovely box in just the right size and just the right cubic shape, and there are some of these fans for the computer inside, which I bought as a backup when mine broke, and I still have like a couple of them left. But they are going to have to live from now on. They have to live somewhere else from now on, because I need this to be transformed into a like tiny storage container, and in the end I will take out the fans. I will take them out in the beginning, and in the end I will be putting snacks inside, because who doesn't love snacks, and who doesn't love snacks and Skyrim? So I hope you enjoy, and it will be a smaller build, but I hope you don't mind. Let's dive right in. First I removed the fan in preparation of the box for my future crafting endeavors. Near future crafting endeavors. I also removed this little piece of cardboard. Maybe it was a bad idea. I think I won't do it the same way again. But anyway, I also tried to remove the sticker, but yeah. So I just let it be. And I made a template for the pattern that is going to get added to, the lexicon. Cut it out of paper, and I'm going to start sketching onto it in a minute. I'm marking the center right here, so I can use this, what's it called? Circular tool. I knew the word long time ago. I didn't look it up. I'm sorry. But yeah, sketchy sketch. And I am also going to use this video for a little chit chat. I hope you enjoy, and I will explain my steps. But I think they're pretty obvious, so there's not too much to talk about it. I was looking at references while marking everything down. I think I overdid it a little bit, because in the end I mostly transferred the circles onto the craft foam, which I used to achieve a bit of a three-dimensional shape. But it's nice to visualize everything, make a plan in your head and all that, so I don't consider it a waste of time. And in comes the craft foam. My first step was to cover all the sides of most of the sides of the cube in craft foam to have an even surface in the end for priming and painting. And it looked quite funny, quite cheerful in the beginning, with all the different colors that come in a pack of randomly assorted craft foam from the drugstore. And I cut those out. Pretty straightforward, I think. I didn't cut all the way through because I didn't want to hurt my trusty old desk too much. So I cut to some degree, and then I started to rip the pieces apart, and I thought that was so satisfying to do. I don't know if you can relate, but yeah, that's what I did, and I wanted to include it in the video. And next I transferred the circles with the unnamed circular tool, and I tried to squeeze as many of them onto the same sheet of craft foam as I possibly could. At this point I was kinda winging it, because I had none too clear of a plan on what to actually do. I had like a vague idea, but I made up the most steps as I went, and I am happy to announce that it went well this time. If you're asking yourself, why did you only glue on one of the layers, one of the sides, and stopped and went to do something else? I'm asking myself the same thing while doing this voiceover actually, but yeah, that's life now. I told you I was winging it. Ah, okay, here come the other sides. I had no real technique in what pattern of glue I drew on the sides. I changed it with every side I added. And I have to say, like, a lot of cosplayers like to use hot glue or like to use contact cement, but I started using this non-toxic crafting glue ages ago, and I'm sticking to it. Pun not intended. I had a break in crafting and sewing from 2021 to last year, 2023, so I'm really excited to get back on the track. And I have some videos in the pipeline, some cosplay sewing, I've got some idea for some whimsical fantasy stuff, and I'm excited to get to it. I'm still a bit disorganized, maybe you can tell, but I want to get stuff out, because I think it's important to like do stuff that makes you happy, and crafting makes me happy, video editing is such fun to me, so I'm looking forward to doing these hobbies more in 2024, and life will allow for it, I'm certain. After letting everything dry for a moment and cleaning up the edges, I continued and started to glue on the circles. The Dwarven's cube, the Runed Lexicon, I don't even know what to call it. It has these like things, these gaps in the outer ring, and I think some sort of energy stuff is supposed to flow through it and into the space between the like circles, between the rings. And I tried to cut it into the outer ring, the outer circle, and I tried different methods. They all worked somewhat. None of them were, I think, perfect, but none of them was particularly better than the others, so Oh, and I'm also removing the excess glue with some piece of leftover craft foam so the glue won't dry bulky. I think adding this design in the center was the trickiest part of the whole project. I didn't really transfer it from the sketch. I just painted it again directly onto the craft foam and used some leftovers from the circles, like, you know, the pieces of the circles that I didn't glue on, and used them to create these rounded shapes. And I didn't include these tiny, in German I would say Nupsi. I have no idea how to translate it, like these little Nupsis. I don't know! You tell me how they're called. I didn't include those because it was too tiny and I think it would look better if I just left them. I tried to use some three-dimensional pearl marker thing, but it was completely dried out, so cut your losses, I guess. In 2024 I finally managed to finish my studies. Took me only 7 years. I don't feel particularly excited about it, like it taking so long. I am pretty excited to be finished now. I wrote my thesis about the Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings, and I had my other tests about folk metal and music in the horror film. I'm a certified musicologist and a certified nerd, and I'm pretty proud of that. And one of my dreams for this year, maybe not for this year but for the eventual future, is to write my own music for my videos. I know it's a pretty big endeavor and I'm just learning how to do it digitally, but here's to dreaming. And here's the cube in all its colorful craft foamy glory. Do you like it this way? I think it looks kind of fun. But we don't want fun. And by we, I mean I. We want Skyrim, and by we, I mean I want Skyrim. I want a Dwemer lexicon, a Dwemer relict, because I think the Dwemers are pretty damn cool. I wish to love more about their lore. They've always been so fascinating to me, and I don't know about you, but I was only mildly satisfied by the Dwemer encounter in the DLC. Anyways, I continued, or I started and then continued to prime the whole thing in Flexibond. I bought this a couple of years ago to prime EVA armor for cosplay, but I never got around to use it, and I primed all my stuff with leftover wood glue, which I don't really recommend for priming because you can just pull it off like a peel-off sticker, and you don't want that. So that's the current state of the project. I applied 3 layers of the primer and I think it looks way better than on the first layer. It actually got quite a nice color. I think this one looks super wood elven-like, but that's not going to stay in this color. But yeah, this one was mainly pink, I think, so it's quite evenly colored. I thought I could use the primer as a base color as well, but no. I'm going to paint it all black. It's still a little sticky. I think I'll leave it to dry for a couple more minutes, like many more minutes, like maybe an hour or so. It's drying quite quickly. I like that. I've never worked with this primer before, and I'm going to paint this in acrylics. And it's not quite easy to open with one hand, but it's getting better, and yeah, gotta be a little bit careful. But I'm happy with it. I'm optimistic that it will look cool in the end. And the next step is by far my favorite. Not the priming in the color per se, although I love that as well because I think it's the first step of it looking really cool. But I'm so happy to be able to paint it and add all the little details. Like right now it's mainly, it's not the terrain, but it feels like it's the terrain, and I'm going to add like little rivers and all that stuff that are not rivers but like fancy Dwemer stuff. But yeah, have a little dry party. Publishing a first video is easy because there's no audience, no expectations, an all fresh start, so to say, because it is. And I want to be honest, I'm really nervous putting this video out because it's quite different from sewing my Victorian dress. So what if people expect nothing but historical sewing from me? The thing is, I am also a gamer and I'm also a cosplayer, and I want to share that too. And most of all, I want to look back on this video when I publish the next one to see how much I've learned. One of my goals for the future is to create more in general, so I try to put stuff out even if I see there's so much room for improvement, just like with this video. But if I were to publish just the things I'm 100% satisfied with, I would never publish anything, let's be real. Maybe you know where I'm coming from, and at the end of the day, I suppose it's better to create things that are a bit flawed than not to create at all. When it comes to painting stuff, there are different approaches to go about it. I prefer to prime everything in a dark color and then add a slightly lighter color. In this case, it's a dark brown because I want the end result to be like a goldenish brown color, just like, I mean, you saw the original in the intro. And so I used a rather used bristle brush and very little paint. Here I'm going even lighter with the color, adding in some ochre and some white, and also a little bit of copper to start giving it the metallic shine. Honestly, I thought I'd had more space to chat in this video. Maybe my next videos have to be longer again to make room for all my talking aspirations. Until then, feel invited to follow me on Instagram at Ophelia's Creation. I put a link in the description. That's where I share my cosplay and talk about stuff. Maybe you like that. I also post some updates here and there regarding this YouTube channel, so if you want to know ahead of time what's happening behind the scenes, that's the place to go as well. It's the only social media platform I'm actually using, if I think about it. Because the gold I own is not very opaque, I used a mix of ochre and a little bit of red as a base color for the, everything that's supposed to get a golden coat. Yes, better quality acrylics are definitely on my to-buy list. I know, it's not super important, and in the end you can just make do with whatever you have at hand. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. I mean, look at this project. It's made from a cardboard box, craft foam, some primer and acrylics, and My brain told me to say something along the lines of, maybe the real treasure isn't the acrylic paint you find at the end of any craft store wall, but the projects you made along the way, and so, you're welcome. I don't even know what I meant to say by this, but my brain said, let's go, and so I went. And as I already said, my golden paint at hand isn't the most opaque, but it looks especially bad in this lighting. I think it was around midnight, maybe 11 PM. It doesn't look too convincing on camera, but I really like the effect in daylight. Just adding some details in black. I'm already pretty satisfied how it looks so far, and the next step, oh you peeps, the next step, it makes it so much cooler. You see these blue sparkles, spots, splatters. I mixed some mid acrylic paint with some blue iridescent and just like dabbed it on, like you can see in the video. And again, it doesn't look like too much in this artificial lighting, but in the sunlight, oh my god. I mean, I'm just happy to be painting anything because it's, yeah, as I said, it's my favorite step. I love painting stuff, and I build way too little stuff that I can paint afterwards. So look how shiny it is. And so the paint job was done. I added a tiny piece of, not so tiny piece of cardboard to the inside of the lid to give it a little more stability for opening and closing the whole thing. I painted it black, used my trusty crafting glue and just glued it to the inside. It's straightforward, like most of the process. The final step was to give it 2 or 3 coats of a satin spray varnish, and here's the result. Thank you so much for watching and for making it to the end of this video. Maybe, if you want, you can stick around and I will post some crafting and sewing of fantasy and cosplay and maybe historical stuff in the future. So if you like that, you know where to find me. Have a nice day.